The photo appeared on my phone while I was waiting for a conference call to start in Zurich. One careless scroll, one familiar horizon line, the terrace railing, the pale stone floor I had argued over for weeks before buying. My house. The caption beneath it was cheerful, confident, careless, private coastal opportunity. First showings this weekend. My thumb froze. This is an original story written by the author of the Revenge World channel, built from familiar social issues with the purpose of helping viewers reflect, heal, and draw meaningful lessons. The content is not intended to depict any real individual. I opened the image again, then the next, then the next. The dining table I had shipped from Italy, the office window that caught the late afternoon sun, even the bookshelf I never bothered to style because the house was never meant for strangers. The account belonged to my sister, Tessa. A quiet pressure settled in my chest, the kind that comes when reality tilts but hasn't fully fallen yet. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't a misunderstanding. The details were too exact, the timing too deliberate. My phone buzzed. A message from our family group chat lit up the screen. Mom's name floated at the top, wrapped in heart emojis and congratulations. Dad followed with a joke about finally putting that place to good use. No one mentioned asking me. No one checked if the house was even for sale. I typed a response, erased it, then closed the app entirely. If this story feels uncomfortably familiar, you're not alone. Stay with me. Sometimes the smallest betrayals arrive wrapped in smiles, and the only way to understand them is to keep listening. The call reminder chimed. I declined it. Instead, my fingers moved to a different contact, Victor Lamb, property manager. The one person who would either tell me I was overreacting or confirm that my life had just been placed on the market without my consent. The phone rang once, then twice. And when it connected, the silence on the other end told me everything before a single word landed. Victor's voice came through tight, careful, already braced for impact. Irene, I meant to reach you earlier. Your sister arrived yesterday. The word arrived landed heavier than it should have. She brought a photographer and a staging team. He continued, breath measured. She presented paperwork, a listing agreement, a power of attorney. My grip on the phone hardened. You let her in. A pause followed, the kind that carries fear rather than guilt. She threatened to involve attorneys, claimed you were unreachable and delaying a time-sensitive sale. I documented everything, photographed the documents, recorded our conversation. That was when the truth settled fully into place. The house had never belonged to anyone but me. I bought it 14 months earlier, in cash, for $3,400,000. No mortgage, no shared ownership, no family money. It was the first thing I had ever owned without anyone else's fingerprints on it. Tessa doesn't have authority. I told him, each word clipped and deliberate. None. Zero. Victor exhaled slowly. I suspected as much. The signature didn't match the records you filed, but she knew details. She spoke like someone who expected compliance. Of course she did. My phone buzzed again. The family chat lit up with fresh messages, celebratory, relieved, already counting outcomes. My name was absent from every line. Victor. I continued, keeping my voice steady. That property is not for sale. I need you to preserve everything. Every message, every image, every recording. I already have, he replied. And Irene. She mentioned a commission. $145,000. She spoke as if it were already hers. I closed my eyes. This wasn't ambition. It was assumption. Victor stayed on the line, voice lowered as if the walls around him might be listening. She knew where everything was. Alarm codes, storage keys, even the spare lockbox by the side gate. My jaw tightened. Those details were never shared. I pushed back, he added quickly. Asked for confirmation. She smiled and told me family matters didn't need written permission. That sentence landed like a bruise. Familiar? Practiced, Victor continued, carefully choosing each word. When I hesitated, she warned me I'd be personally liable for obstructing a lawful sale. Mentioned reporting me to the state board. Used your full name. Spoke like she'd rehearsed it. The image sharpened in my mind, Tessa standing tall, papers in hand, confidence borrowed from a future she'd already spent. She left copies behind. Victor went on. The power of attorney was dated last week. Notarized, but sloppy. The stamp was off-center. The signature didn't match your previous filings. Yet she expected compliance. Yes. And she expected speed. My inbox chimed. An automated alert from a real estate site slid onto the screen. New private listing available. The address matched mine. She uploaded the listing within hours. Victor added. Skipped the usual channels. Framed it as a discreet opportunity. No brokerage oversight. Because oversight asks questions. Because oversight checks ownership. A beat passed between us. Thick and shared. Irene, Victor continued. Quieter now. This wasn't desperation. This was planning. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling of a hotel room that suddenly felt irrelevant. My sister hadn't walked into my house hoping to be forgiven. She walked in expecting agreement. And somewhere between the paperwork and the threats, she had already decided the answer for me. The next notification came before Victor finished forwarding the files. A video alert. Tessa's account again. She walked through my front door on screen. Phone held high. Voice bright and rehearsed. Natural light all day, she announced, sweeping past the entryway. Buyers love that. My stomach tightened. The camera moved room to room, each step erasing another boundary. Custom dining table. She continued. Imported. Stays with the house. It didn't. The video cut to my office. My desk. My shelves. The frame lingered just long enough to catch the corner of a contract folder. Victor's voice returned. Sharper now. She instructed the stager to remove personal photos. Said they made the space feel occupied. Occupied. As if I weren't. I refreshed the feed. Another clip appeared. This room was converted into a flexible workspace. Tessa explained. Perfect for executives relocating. My laptop should have been there. Victor. I pressed. Did she move anything? A brief silence followed. She boxed several items. Labeled them clutter. Had them placed in the garage. Clutter. My life reduced to storage. The phone vibrated again. A text from my mother surfaced without warning. Tessa told us you finally agreed. We're so relieved. Agreed. I typed nothing back. Another message followed, this time from Tessa herself. Relax, I'm handling everything. You'll thank me when this closes. Handling everything. Including me. I shut the screen off and let the quiet settle. She wasn't just selling a property. She was rewriting ownership, consent, and reality itself, one confident sentence at a time. And she was doing it in my voice, without my permission, to an audience that didn't know the difference. The family group chat kept pulsing, message after message stacking before I could silence it. Mom's name appeared first. We're so proud of Tessa. This could finally stabilize things. Dad followed close behind. She's under a lot of pressure. Try not to complicate this. Complicate. As if the house had wandered onto the market on its own. I typed once, then erased it. Instead, I called. Mom answered on the second ring, voice already trembling. Tessa told us you agreed to let her handle the sale. That never happened. A beat passed, then a sigh. Well, she showed us the paperwork. Everything looked official. It's forged. The word landed heavy, but it didn't break through. Mom lowered her voice. Irene, we've already made arrangements. What kind of arrangements? Dad joined the call, cutting in before she could answer. We took a short-term loan, Nothing major. Once the commission comes through, it's settled. The commission? There it was. $145,000. I reminded them. You're counting money that doesn't belong to any of you. It's temporary. Dad pressed. Family helps family. Tessa needs this, Mom added quickly. After everything she's been through, this is her chance. And what about what she's doing to me? Silence filled the line, thick and deliberate. She didn't mean harm. Mom offered. You're strong. You always land on your feet. The words felt familiar, rehearsed over years of small sacrifices that were never returned. So the plan was to sell my house. I answered slowly, use the money, and ask forgiveness later. Dad exhaled sharply. Don't make it sound ugly. It already is. The call ended without resolution, but the truth stayed. They weren't asking for permission. They had already spent the outcome, and somewhere between pride and panic, my family had decided my consent was optional as long as the numbers worked. Aaron Feldman didn't waste time softening the truth. His voice carried the calm weight of someone used to cleaning up other people's disasters. This isn't a misunderstanding. It's fraud. The word settled differently than it had with my parents. Final. Unavoidable. She forged a power of attorney. He continued. Filed a private listing to bypass oversight. Threatened a property manager into compliance. Each step compounds liability. I leaned against the desk, fingers pressed flat. What happens if she keeps going? She escalates from civil exposure into criminal risk, especially if buyers are misled. And if I stop it now, you protect yourself, Aaron replied evenly. But she won't thank you. People who expect rescue rarely do. A document notification appeared on my screen as he spoke. A cease and desist letter, already drafted, precise and unforgiving. She'll ignore this. I noted. Most do. Aaron agreed. That's when intent becomes undeniable. My phone buzzed again. A new post from Tessa slipped through before I blocked it. Private showing confirmed. Everything's handled. Aaron didn't need to see it. He already knew the pattern. Irene, this ends one of two ways. Quietly, if she steps back. Publicly, if she doesn't. I'm flying home, I replied, decision settling into place. Good, he responded. Documentation only gets you so far. Presence changes the power dynamic. The call ended, leaving the room silent. This wasn't about being the reasonable one anymore. It wasn't about smoothing things over or preserving appearances. It was about drawing a line where my family never had and standing on the right side of it, even if I stood there alone. Victor met me at the door, eyes flicking toward the driveway before settling back on mine. She came by again this morning. I stepped inside and felt it immediately. The house sounded different, hollow. She brought a locksmith. Victor continued, keeping his voice low, claimed she needed to secure the property before the showing. You stopped her. I did, he answered. She threatened to report me for trespassing, told me my employment ended Friday. I looked past him and saw the garage door half open. Inside, my office sat in pieces, cardboard boxes stacked and labeled in neat marker. Office, miscellaneous, personal, remove before showing. Miscellaneous. Victor hovered nearby. I recorded everything. She spoke as if the house already belonged to her. My phone rang. Mom's name filled the screen. Her voice cracked before the greeting finished. Tessa is breaking down. She says you're sabotaging her. She broke into my house. She's under pressure. Mom pressed. You don't understand how much we're counting on this. Counting. Always counting. Dad's voice joined the call. Firmer. Rehearsed. You've made your point. Let this finish quietly. Once the sale closes, we'll sort it out. Sort it out meant clean up afterward. Like always. I glanced at the boxes again, at the way my life had been reduced to labels for someone else's convenience. I won't disappear to make this easier. I replied, tone steady, not this time. Mom inhaled sharply. If you push this, you're tearing the family apart. The line went quiet before I ended the call. Victor remained still, waiting. Preserve everything. I told him, no more access, no more favors. He nodded once, standing there, surrounded by what had been packed away without my consent. I understood something clearly. They weren't asking me to compromise. They were asking me to step aside. The front door stood open when I arrived. Voices drifted through the hallway light, impressed, already imagining ownership. Tessa stood near the kitchen island, champagne flute raised, posture flawless. Private coastal inventory rarely stays quiet. She offered to the group. This one won't last. She noticed me only when a guest turned first. Her smile tightened, then recovered. You came. I own this house. My voice carried evenly across the room. So yes. A murmur rippled through the guests. One man glanced at his partner. Another lowered his phone. Tessa stepped closer, keeping her tone soothing, practiced. This isn't the place. You're emotional. Emotional doesn't forge documents, I replied, or threaten employees, or move someone's life into boxes. Her eyes flashed. You agreed to let me handle this. That story works until facts arrive. The front door opened again. Aaron Feldman entered, briefcase in hand, expression neutral. Irene, he acknowledged, then turned to the room. For clarity, this property is not for sale. Tessa laughed too quickly. Family disagreement. We're resolving it. Aaron placed a folder on the counter. These are filings submitted this morning. Fraud, misrepresentation, unauthorized access. The room shifted. One guest set their glass down. Another stepped back entirely. You're humiliating me, Tessa hissed, the mask slipping. After everything I did for you, what you did for yourself, I corrected quietly. She leaned in, voice sharp enough to cut. They needed this money. You know that. I know. I answered. That's why this stops here. Aaron addressed the guests calmly. Any representations made today were invalid. Thank you for leaving. No one argued. Chairs scraped. Footsteps moved quickly toward the exit. Tessa stood alone now, eyes darting, calculations collapsing in real time. You won't do this, she whispered. Not to me. I met her gaze. Steady. Final. I already did. When the door closed behind the last guest, the house fell silent again, not emptied, but returned. For the first time since this began, the space belonged to me. The fallout didn't arrive with shouting. It came in envelopes, court notices, and silence. Tessa lost her license within weeks. The settlement followed $150,000 in damages and fees, paid slowly, painfully. My parents sold their house to help her cover it. After that, the calls stopped. Mom reached out once, voice flat and careful. We did what we had to. So did I. I answered, and let the line go quiet. Months later, I signed the final papers on the Montecito house. The sale closed at $4,100,000. Not because I rushed, not because anyone pushed, because the timing was mine. Victor stayed on as my property manager at the new place. On his last walkthrough, he paused by the door. You protected what was yours. He offered. Most people don't. I thought about that long after he left. Some families teach love as sacrifice without consent. Others teach it as silence in the face of harm. I learned something different. Respect is the only thing that makes love sustainable, and boundaries are not betrayal. If you've ever been told to stay quiet for the sake of peace, or to give up what you earned so someone else could feel whole, you're not alone. Stories like this exist because they happen more often than people admit. If this one resonated with you, stay with the channel. Share it with someone who might need it. Sometimes hearing another voice stand firm makes it easier to find your own. I didn't lose a family that day. I lost the illusion that love requires erasure. What remained was quieter, stronger, and finally honest.